What are you guys drawing?
The treehouse. We're drawing how it's gonna look. Yeah. And then there's gonna be a little area.
So this is the first video of a two-part video series of how I built the treehouse for my kids. This video deals with how I built the platform for which the treehouse itself will sit on. So the first step is to figure out how big we want this thing to be. I took my brother out in the rain, and together we laid out a rough outline of where we wanted the footings to be. I drew an embarrassingly rough blueprint, and we could go ahead and start drilling our holes for our footings.
Hey, we found a big worm in the ground.
My cousin was nice enough to come over and help me mix up some concrete and pour them in the sonotubes. You'll have to check with your local code for how deep to drill these holes. Next, I could install the post bases in the wet concrete. It was important in my design to make sure that they were on the same plane. Check for their level, and then we can go ahead, let them dry, and install the 6x6 posts. After making sure that the posts were perfectly plumb,
I like it.
next we could go ahead and install our first 2x10 outer joist. Now, we're just putting this in temporarily because we're trying to figure out our locations for our tabs, which are going to be our treehouse attachment bolts. I'll talk about them in a little bit.
Ah, forget it. All right, so now we have the 2x10 just resting on the tree, but we don't want it to rest on the tree when we're all done because the tree's gonna sway with the wind, and we don't want our posts, which are rigid, to be moving. So I got this heavy duty bolt, actually it's called a tab. They sell them, they're special. It's powder coated hardened steel. And what it does is you put it in the tree and there's this space that allows the 2x10 to slide on there back and forth when it's windy out, and it can slide both directions, front and back, side to side.
The instructions say to drill about 3/4 of an inch into the outer layer of the tree with a 3-inch bit. This is going to be where the collar of the tab recesses. Next, I can drill my 1-inch hole, being sure to keep my drill level throughout. Oh, and don't bury the drill bit like I did.
Hey Johnny, clear the chips out. Yeah, what happened is the flutes on that drill bit don't look like they go all the way past. I saw the chips stop coming out.
And we're not gonna get this footage.
Yeah, we're getting this footage.
Holy cow, why did it do that?
It went in fast. I come in here and save you again.
Thankfully, he was able to get the drill bit out. I was worried there for a second. Next, we can start threading the actual tab into the hole. This is a good shot where you can see the 3-inch hole and the collar and how they're going to nest together.
Okay, can you take off that tag, please?
I want to return this after I'm done. I'm just kidding.
The pipe wrench marred up the
All right.
surface, so I just sprayed some black paint after we were done.
Oh my God.
It didn't take long for us to realize that we were going to need some leverage if we were going to get this thing all the way threaded in. This tree is actually a domestic crabapple tree, and the wood is quite hard.
And look who just showed up. There you go, boss.
Do a quality control check. Yeah. Yeah. So now we got both 2x10s parallel and level. So we're gonna mark the spots for our notches because we're gonna seat these in flush to the face of this 6x6. So we got the posts in and the rim joists are all taken care of. So now we're gonna mark out for our joists. We'll do 16 on center, and I'll start laying them out right now, and we'll start hanging joists. I noticed when I was putting the joists in, you can see right here looks like the weakest spot. So I'm gonna go and put one of these in. It's a 45-degree bracket. I'm gonna put this in the tree right here. I'm gonna have a 4x6 beam that goes out, and I'm gonna support it out in this corner somewhere so it can't do this number. So now that I've got that 45-degree bracket cut into the 4x6, I take it to the tree and I put it in place temporarily to see if it's going to work. I mark out the location for the bird mouth notch I need to make for the cross support piece. They'll nest together like this. To install the knee brace bracket, it's pretty much the same story as before, except I'm using a heavy-duty leg bolt instead of a tab here. This is a hot dip galvanized 1-inch diameter, 12-inch long leg bolt. Much better. So now that I got the floor framed in for the most part, I'm gonna start working on the supports for the railing. So this is a 4x4 post, it's 4 feet long, and I need to figure out a way to make sure that this connection is strong. So what I'm gonna do is I cut this block, it's gonna fit between the joist and the rim joist here, and I'm gonna sandwich that in with a 10-inch long galvanized leg bolt. But before I put it in there, I'm gonna put some of this liquid nails that's specially made for treated lumber. I'm gonna put that on the mating surfaces, and then when I suck that in with the bolts, when that dries, it's gonna be a rock solid connection.
you doing over there?
I'm gonna make a notch to fit around this post, and it's gonna be awesome the first time I try it. You get enough inner thigh?
Jesus, I'm gonna have to change the white balance because of the you're getting a little glare off that side.
It's a good feeling seeing the decking board starting to get put on the top. Makes it finally look like we're doing something. Here's a little trick. If the board you got has a warp in it and doesn't seat next to the previous decking board, you just drive a screw into the joist and use your hammer to get some leverage. You pry that thing to where you want it, and then you can just screw it down.
So now I'm going to work on the railing section some more. I decided to use 1/2-inch conduit for my spindles, and I'm just going to drill holes in the top and bottom rail and then just kind of sandwich the conduit between. I figured 4.5 inches is going to be my spacing. When you take into account the diameter of this conduit, if I go 4.5 center to center on them, I end up with less than 4 inches between them, which is what you need to have. You need to have less than 4 inches for any spacing on a deck railing, in my area at least. So I'm just going to transfer those lines to the other board. So if I do this, the spindle should be straight up and down.
You gonna help me carry this in the backyard, bud? All right, let's do it.
I can't.
You're pretty strong.
Don't let it hit that.
Take a little break. All right.
Do it again.
Okay.
Break.
We only went 2 feet.
Go. Break.
I love involving my kids in the project, especially if it's for them. Hopefully it gives them some pride of ownership. And it's just fun. For the handrails, I wanted to do something a little unique. So I decided to do some half-lap joints at the corners. So I took the wood back to my shop, and here I'm measuring the thickness, and I'll raise my dado stack blade up to half of that thickness and make my cuts. I snuck up on my line and kept testing it with a scrap piece until I got just the perfect fit. All that was left to do was to tip up the simple ladder that I made, and we're gonna go ahead and call this one a wrap.
All right, so this is the conclusion of the first set of 2 videos. This is the deck all completed. The second video is going to be when we actually build the structure. So check that one out.